Greetings and welcome to part two. Right? Another story I told a few people that I thought you might enjoy about when God moved in my life. I used to spend a lot of time in the late 70s and early 80s going to British Columbia to do some hiking and mountain climbing. I was a bit crazy at the time, and I went with a friend of mine. We never brought ropes and stuff like that, just one of those spur of the thing moments. We're far away from BC. We point at a picture and a map and say we're going there, see whatever the nearest town is, and that's it, and just get there and just go, right? Uh, we were manly, man. You know how it goes. We didn't go around mountains. We climbed up and over them, right? We would bring a bottle of whatever. It didn't really matter to drink on top to celebrate when we made it, type thing, right? And I had some awesome adventures. And on one of these trips, my friend Dave sadly passed, right? He was a really nice guy. I liked him. He looked like John Lennon, and he was about 6'2", 6'3", and he looked like John Lennon, right? For those of you who remember what John Lennon looked like, anyway, right? And he could play music well, and he was a great artist, right? Um, but we were in the middle of nowhere, right? We had followed this river out of Penticton. We'd asked a bunch of people, at least 20 people, what the name of it was because they have two going through there, right? And they all said one, so we followed it. We had two graphical maps, right? We figured we didn't need one, so we used it one night for starting a fire. Things go. What's the point of having it? We didn't need it. We were there for one thing, right? And we put it away. We never used it. We just followed it. And there's a hill in there. Oh, we went up around it. We didn't care, right? We were there for fun. And I went out there for a little bits at a time, right? And I'm laying there in my sleeping bag one day in the middle of nowhere. I mean, in the middle of BC where nobody goes, right? Even the animals walked right by me. When you have deers and that walking right by you, they've never seen a human before. Nobody ever goes to the middle part. They all live in the bottom, right? And the smell wakes me up. And I'm looking at the butt end of the biggest elk I've ever seen in my entire life, even to now I've ever seen, right? I mean, I thought it was some prehistoric elk or something back then, right? Because nobody went out there, so nobody's shooting them or whatever. And I figured they grew big or something, right? I didn't know. I was a young kid, right? And and at first I was going, "Don't pee and poo on me, don't pee and poo on me." That's all I was thinking about. And then as I was looking down the length of his body, well past my feet, and I'm 5'10", right? Well past my feet, and this thing is eating some tobacco out of it was export A tobacco because my friend had bought a tin of it, and he was rolling some cigarettes, and he started a fire and everything, and he was down by the river to get some water in the pot to make coffee, and I guess the smell attracted the elk, right? And this is the biggest sucker I'd ever seen in my entire life. I'd swear that damn thing weighed a ton easy, right? And I noticed on my right hand side that my rifle's there, and my friend don't have, he's on the left, and I'm going, "Oh, thank you for that." Because he tried to shoot it or something, startled it. It could have stepped on me, and it didn't kill me. It would have killed me anyway because 2 3 week walk back to civilization would not have been possible, especially if that steps on you. That thing was huge, you know. So I just kind of just watched it eat, and then when it was done, it shuffled both feet on each side, one side at a time, because it knew it was over me. Walked a little bit, turned, and bowed its head like a thank you for the meal, and trotted off. It was one of those take your breath away moments, right? And I really did. It's like, wow, right? Uh, and later, that very same day, right, we wanted to cross this rapids to get to the other side, right? And we couldn't see a way to get to the other side, right? And we knew something was wrong because the night before we saw some headlights, and I said, "What headlights? What are they doing?" There's some really old logging road in the middle of nowhere that was there, and apparently somebody had been driving on it. So we looked at the map. Didn't know road. We knew we were following the wrong map. Said, "Oh, hell on it, right? Let's go over there, follow the road. We'll find out where we are." Right? You know, we're crazy and young, and you know how those days were for some of you that have been are of my age, right? I mean, you see wonders there. I've seen grizzly bears fishing out of a stream that weren't even 20 feet away. I've had two baby grizzly bears going in circles around me, and I ran for it because I didn't know which way Mama was, right? But I've had moments and adventures out there, and I really loved it. So when I'm looking at just some water between me and the other side, I didn't think much of it, right? And that's with some really beautiful sized trees there. Excuse me. Some nice trees there. So I took out my knife, grabbed a rock, and I cut down a couple of trees the hard way, right? And I tell you, just, they look big enough, but when they get to the other side, the top part was just not strong enough to hold to the rocks. The water is really moving fast. It's a really fast rapids. And me and my friend were young. We didn't really think about it. And we didn't realize that there was a big storm further away that we couldn't see yet. And this is the water of it, and it was going to get worse. Well, after about 5 trees, I gave up, right? And we decided to go, but we ended up way, 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 way downstream at another spot, and it was not a good spot to be in. And it was a sheer cliff climb up, like the one if you watch the movie Hacksaw Ridge, but we didn't have none of that, right? And full packs, no climbing gear, none of that stuff back then there. And we're halfway up of it when the storm suddenly hit. And it was like the one that Elijah had when you read the Bible there, right? It was lightning, everything, the wind, and the rain was coming down so hard you couldn't look up. Because think of looking into the shower head when you got your water turned on as high as it can go. You can't see anything, period. So the only place you could look is straight in front of you. You can't see where you're reaching. And I just knew down was death. Because there had to have been a flash flood with that thing. No wonder those rapids were so bad, right? It's a miracle I didn't drown in them, right? And neither did my friend, right? And he wanted to cut down, and I remember myself saying, no, down is death, up is life, right? And I was young, and I really didn't talk to God much. I had some few bad experiences with that a little bit earlier, right, in my youth. And but when you're facing death, a lot of people think of God and start talking to him, like I did. I said, well, God, don't talk to you much, but I may be meeting you real soon, and I know I've been problem sorry, but at least you'll know one thing. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try my best. If I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. But at least you'll know I tried, right? And just one hand hold after the other, and it's slippery. It's raining. I could have slipped at any moment, going up or down. But at least I didn't want to be a quitter, right? And both of us made it, as you can kind of guess, right? But that was really something, right? Out in the middle of nowhere. And the weirdest thing is, when I got to the top and just rolled over, gasping, a guy in one of those 4-wheelers out there almost ran me over. But we got a ride back to a town, right? It was really cool, right? But it's like, wow, right? This guy was, think of driving on the expressway, and this is old logging roads during a storm, okay? And I was going, dear God Almighty, I almost died there, and I get into the car with a crazy man, right? I may end up seeing you sooner anyway, but at least I tried up that hill and I made it. I know I'm a little funny sometimes, right? I can laugh at these moments, right? Oh, boy, did I do some crazy stuff when I was young, but I had some adventures that were good. God made us a beautiful planet, and sadly, we've allowed some morons to mess it up, right? I'm sure many of you have adventures and moments in your life where God stepped in. Hey, we needed a ride back anyway, right? After everything else there, and boom, there it was, right? And a ride back and everything. Hey, you want to ride back? Like, wow, you know what I mean? The Lord moves in mysterious ways, right? But the old saying, there are no atheists in foxholes, right? Because sooner or later we'll all stand before God. And He's been watching us our whole lives, right? Taking care of us in ways we haven't even imagined, right? And most of the time, He's just waiting for us to talk to Him. God is real. Healed my terminal heart condition in March, right, of this year. And here I am alive with a new life ahead of me that I couldn't have imagined. I've had adventures most people can't even dream of. I've traveled the world. I've seen all kinds of things. And I've done all kinds of stupid things. I was searching for something, And I didn't realize it was Jesus until not that long ago that I was looking for. And he was always there, watching me, just waiting for me to say hello. So say hello today and give him a call because he's very real. And he changed my life, and he'll change yours too. Bye bye.